Hello kids, hello parents, hello everybody. Guess what time it is? It's time to read a story. Yes, and the storybook is TinkerBell and the Lost Treasure. This is how the book looks like. And we are going to read the beautiful story about TinkerBell and her friends. Summer was over. It was time for the fairies of Pixie Hollow to bring the beautiful season of autumn to the mainland. Unseen by the humans below, they burst through the clouds and began working their magic. Soon the whole world was full of the warm colors of autumn. The fairies headed for the second star to the right to make their journey home. Back in Pixie Hollow, other fairies were collecting pixie dust from the pixie dust tree. Pixie dust made it possible for all fairies to do their special kinds of magic. When the buzzer signaling the end of the workday sounded, Terence bid his fellow dust keepers goodbye. As usual, he was off to help his best friend TinkerBell with her latest invention. Terence found TinkerBell at the stream, putting the finishing touches on her new boat, the Pixie Dust Express. Soon she was ready for a test run. She launched the board into the water, and Terence got into a leaf boat and paddled up beside her. "Don't worry, I'll be right next to you," he said. "Let her rip." Tink pulled the rip cord and the Pixie Dust Express zoomed away. "Whoa!" cried Terence as a huge spray of water from Tink's boat sank his. Tink sped along, pulling various levers. Suddenly, wings, skis, and a water wheel popped out, making her boat move forwards even faster. "Uh-oh," Tink said as she spotted some rocks up ahead. The boat's skis snapped off, but her craft cruised ashore and kept on going right towards the tree. The Pixie Dust Express shot up the tree's trunk, coming to rest on the tippy top, then fell back to the ground. "Are you okay?" asked Terence. "I'm good, thanks," Tink assured him. "Wow, I'm impressed," Terence said as he helpfully gathered the bits and pieces of her boat. "You're really handling this well." But Tink couldn't hold the frustration in for long. "Ah!" she cried. "I can't believe the boat broke." It just needs a little tinkering," Terence said breezily. His cheerful attitude had TinkerBell feeling better in no time. Suddenly, a fairy arrived with a message. Queen Clarion wanted to see TinkerBell right away. Tink nervously hurried to the royal chambers, where Queen Clarion, the Minister of Autumn, and Fairy Mary were waiting for her. "Since time immemorial," the minister began solemnly, "fairies have celebrated the end of autumn with revelry, and this particular autumn coincides with the blue harvest moon. A new scepter must be created to celebrate the occasion." He led TinkerBell to a hall filled with stunning scepters, each one unique. "This year it is the turn of the Tinker Fairies, and Fairy Mary has recommended you," Queen Clarion declared. TinkerBell gasped in disbelief. "At the top of the scepter you will place a moonstone," the minister continued. He directed everyone's attention to an ancient tapestry hanging on the wall. "When the blue moon is at its peak, its rays will pass through the gem, creating blue pixie dust. The blue pixie dust restores the pixie dust tree." "Here is the moonstone," said Fairy Mary as she led Tink to an ornate case. "It has been handed down from generation to generation. It is ridiculously fragile." Tink was touched to be given such an honor. She hugged Fairy Mary and knocked the moonstone out of its case. "You have to be careful," Fairy Mary cried. She caught the moonstone and placed it back in its case. TinkerBell gently took the case, bowed, and left the chamber. That night, Terence paid Tink a visit. She told him all about being chosen to create this new autumn scepter. The blue moon only rises in Pixie Hollow every 8 years, Terence explained. The trajectory of the light beams have got to match the curvature of the moonstone at 90-degree angle so the light can transmute into pixie dust. Tink was impressed with Terence's knowledge. When he volunteered to be her assistant, she was all for it. Terence arrived at Tink's house bright and early the next day. She was still in bed. "Warning," he called. "We have one full moon until the autumn revelry." Terence left Tink a tasty breakfast and headed off to work. Later, on his way home, he dropped off some supplies he thought she might be able to use. Day after day, Tink tried out different designs for the scepter. And day after day, Terence was there with food, advice, and a cheerful willingness to do any job that TinkerBell wanted him to do. She couldn't have asked for a more helpful assistant. As time wore on, though, Tink began to find Terence a bit too helpful. His broom scratched annoyingly on the floor when he swept. He got in her way when she was working. He sometimes stoked the fire so much that the room filled with smoke. Still, she tried to be patient. Finally, the day came for Tink to finish her creation. "Steady," said Terence as Tink removed the moonstone from its case. "I know," replied Tink. "Shh." With Terence hovering over her, Tink maneuvered the moonstone closer to the scepter, but then a piece broke off the setting. "Looks like you need some sort of sharp thingy," said Terence as Tink tried to repair it. As he headed out the door to find a tool to do the job, Tink called, "Take your time." Once she was alone, Tink was able to concentrate and repair the setting. She placed the moonstone at the top of the scepter. Just then, Terence arrived, proudly rolling in a compass he has found at the cove. "It's your sharp thingy," he announced. Tink was annoyed. The compass was round, the exact opposite of sharp. "Would you please get this thing out of here?" she said. She bumped the compass with her hip and it rolled across the room. Whack! The compass hit the scepter, causing the moonstone to pop out. Then the compass began to spin, finally tipping over and landing on the scepter. Tink's beautiful creation shattered instantly. Tink quickly grabbed the moonstone. "Out!" she yelled at Terence. "You brought the stupid thing here. This is your fault." Terence was stunned. "Fine, last time I tried to help you," he yelled back. Tink set the moonstone down on a cushion and began to pace. She didn't know how she could fix the scepter in time. In frustration, she kicked the compass with all her might. The cover popped open and crushed the moonstone. "No!" TinkerBell said with a gasp. That night, after failing to repair the moonstone, Tink desperately tried to figure out what to do next. Her friends, Clank and Bobble, stopped by. "Came to see if you wanted to join us for fairy tale theater," said Clank. "I really don't have time," Tink answered nervously. "Not to worry," Bobble told her. "We'll tell Fairy Mary you couldn't make it." Suddenly, TinkerBell realized that Fairy Mary might know where to find another moonstone. So Tink went to the fairy tale theater, but she just couldn't tell Fairy Mary she had broken the moonstone. The show began. A fairy named Lyria appeared. It was a distant time ago when a pirate ship arrived in Neverland, she began. The pirates searched until they found a fairy and forced her to lead them to the enchanted mirror of Incanta. Forged by fairy magic in ages past, the mirror had the power to grant 3 wishes. Next, Lyria told how the pirates made only 2 wishes before being shipwrecked and losing the mirror forever. Tink listened carefully. This magic mirror could be just what she needed. Lyria's story continued. Journey due north past Neverland, till a faraway island is close at hand, she said. Tink was very excited to hear clues that could lead her to the pirate ship and the magic mirror. Lyria spoke of an arch of stone and an old troll bridge. Tink's head was so full of directions and clues, she didn't pay attention. She thought Lyria had said toll bridge. Lyria went on, explaining that hidden deep inside the ship, amid gems and gold, was the mirror. Pretending to be tired, Tink left the theater as quickly as she could. She had to find that mirror and use the last wish to restore the moonstone. Back at home, Tink quickly drew a map of the lost island, consulted the compass, and began to pack some supplies. How am I going to carry all this? She wondered. Still, she kept packing. Not enough, she decided as she checked her bag of pixie dust. But Tink wasn't worried. She had figured out a way to get more. But the next morning, Tink couldn't talk to anyone, giving her more pixie dust. Not knowing where else to turn, she went to Terence and bluntly told him what she needed. "That's why you're here?" Terence asked. He had been expecting an apology for the way Tink had yelled at him. "Why do you need more dust?" "A true friend wouldn't ask," said Tink angrily. "A true friend wouldn't ask me to break the rules," Terence replied. "Then I guess we're not true friends," shot back Tink. "I guess we're not," replied Terence. Even though Tink didn't think she had enough pixie dust for her journey, she stubbornly moved ahead with her plan. First, she had to design and build a vehicle that could carry her and all of her supplies to the lost island. TinkerBell expertly assembled what looked like a hot air balloon from a gourd, a bunch of cotton balls, and an array of pots and pans, all in less than a day. She dressed in her adventurer's outfit, and at dusk, she sprinkled the balloon with pixie dust and lifted off with the moonstone fragments safely tucked in her bag. "So long, Pixie Hollow," TinkerBell called as she rose higher and higher into the sky. "I'll be back soon." As night fell, TinkerBell watched a bat chasing a glowing mass of fireflies towards the balloon. Luckily, they passed by without causing any trouble. A little while later, she went to have a snack and discovered an empty supply bag and a very full firefly. She lifted her visitor out of the bag. "Shoo! Go find your friends," she ordered. "I'm on a very important mission." Tink tried to get rid of the firefly by hurling a stick for him to fetch, but he soon returned. The stick caught on her bag of pixie dust and flung it out of the balloon. "That does it," Tink declared to the firefly after she had rescued the bag. "Out!" The firefly pretended to walk the plank, then jumped off the side of the balloon. Confident that the troublesome stowaway was gone for good, TinkerBell turned her attention to her map. The problem was, it was so dark she couldn't see a thing. Suddenly, the map was illuminated by a gentle glow. It was the little firefly. "Oh, all right," Tink said, giving in. "You can stay, for now. I am TinkerBell. What is your name?" The insect glowed brighter. Blinky, flicker, flash, beam, flare, Tink guessed. Then it came to her. "Oh, Blaze!" TinkerBell and Blaze anxiously kept watch for land until they flew into a fog bank. In the morning, when the fog cleared, the travelers discovered they were stuck in a tree. This must be a lost island, Tink decided as she looked around. And there it is, the stone arch from the story. "You stay here and guard the balloon. I'll be right back." Tink jubilantly flew towards the stone arch. But when she got closer, she saw that it was just the entwined branches of 2 trees. Meanwhile, the balloon was starting to drift away. Blaze tried to warn Tink, but she was distracted. By the time she got her attention, the balloon was gone. "My compass!" yelled Tink. "My supplies! My pixie dust! Why didn't you warn me?" The pair raced off to find the balloon. Before they had got very far, though, Tink collided with a tree and everything went black. Blaze sent out a distress call, and within minutes, bugs arrived, carrying food and water for the injured fairy. Tink immediately felt better and asked the bugs to lead her to the stone arch. She tried to fly after them, but she couldn't lift off. "I'm out of dust," she realized. "Guess I'll be walking from here." As they made their way to the arch, Tink stumbled upon her compass, where it had fallen from the balloon. She never would have found it if it weren't for her new little friends. Tink suddenly realized how much she missed her old friend Terence.